This is my attempt at a installation video for a BMW Z4. I'm going to be converting the stock halogen lights that came with this 2007 Z4, and I'm going to be replacing them with a set of HID high intensity discharge headlights. These are the H7 bulbs, and the color I picked was the 6000 Kelvin. I liked it because it was the closest to what is standard on the BMW. Alright, supposedly this is an easy installation. The hardest part is going to be getting in here. To get into where your headlights are, you have to move the tire all the way over to one side. And if you look right there, that's where the headlights go in. You can see there's a cover that covers it up. And the only way to really get to it is by turning the tire. So let me do that and I'll get back to you. Now, most everyone knows it's really important not to touch the bulbs with your fingers because the oils on your fingers can decrease the lifespan. So I recommend using just some nitrile gloves. Super cheap, don't cost you hardly anything, and they're worth it. So let's look and see what comes inside the box. So inside the box, usually you'll see a set of the headlights there. Most of the time they come in this protective plastic casing. Then usually you'll have two ballasts with that as well. Then taking this apart, and I don't want to touch the bulb. Almost just touched it. Oh, just took my cover off. Oh well. Anyway, you'll find your wiring harnesses and everything else in there. So it's a good idea to lay this out and make sure everything's laid out so you know exactly what you're grabbing, which is what I'm getting ready to do. So here's everything you get in the kit that I bought from MTEC. You get the two lights, two ballasts, and it has the code eliminator so that you don't get the light out problem that a lot of the HID kits seem to have. You get the two wiring harnesses and mounting brackets for the ballasts. I looked through the installation guide, and like most guides, it's not very well done. So hopefully with this video I can figure it out and get things done. Alright, let's get busy. So it was kind of cramped for me to show you, but basically you're going to take your tire and turn them to the outside, as I did there. That's going to give you a little space to reach in and replace or pull off the cover, the flap. Real easy. There's two little tabs that you can take a coin or a screwdriver and just give them a turn counterclockwise and it'll pop right off. Then inside there is a wire that you can see going across the back of the housing, and that needs to be removed by pulling that little plastic or that little metal wire down off of those catches there, and then you'll be able to take the cover out. Alright, so I've pulled off the outer cover and the inner housing cover. It just popped off. Just had to wiggle it around a little bit. Real easy. And while I'm here, I'm checking the gasket to make sure it's nice and clean. It is. So this is what you're left with at this point. Nice big hole. You can see there's the low beams and the high beams. And it's a good time right now to scout and look for where I'm going to mount the ballast. I have a feeling I'm going to hide it back in there somewhere so that's protected but still out of the engine bay. Alright, so my next step will be removing the clip. This is coming in. Removing the clip from the low beam right there. Pretty easy. Usually they just pinch and come right off. Twist and the low beam bulb popped right out. I'm going to unplug it, and I will probably go ahead and put the HID bulb in now because I like to protect the bulb, and then I can just connect it when it's ready. Alright, so I made up the connections just to test everything out. So you can see I got all the connections made up, and I turned on the headlights, and there's the normal headlight. Pretty bright, but it's a halogen. This is the new headlight. Very bright, very focused. I'm very pleased. So all I have to do now is pretty much tuck everything back in. What I have to figure out in here is where I'm going to tuck in the ballast. I think I'm going to take that corner over there and zip tie it to that back corner. So I'll update you in a minute. Overall, the connections took about 5 minutes. When I first turned on the headlight didn't come on. So I went into sorry for all the jiggling. I went into this connector and just reversed the lights and it came right on. So, all right, good deal and a good deal more. All right, so I've been planning on where to put the ballast and stuff, and I think I'm going to lock it up in there with some zip ties. But I just noticed that my wires that go to the light will be stuck with that cover that I pulled off. There's two covers. There's one that covers up the big hole, and then there's one inside that protects the lamps. So I'm actually going to have to drill a hole in it. I'll show you what I mean. This is the cover. It actually goes like this. That goes on the headlight, and so it protects the light, as you can see. So I'm going to need to drill a hole right where that dot is probably, so I can run the cables through and use the grommet. All right, more soon. So as you can see, I drilled the hole to run the wires through, so now it's all nice and clean. The grommet they include is nice. It's a 23 millimeter hole, which I don't have in drills, so I used a 7/8 and just drilled a little big. So I got everything connected. The hardest part was getting that cover back on the light. That is a real pain in the rear end, so be careful. You just got to play with it for a while. Eventually it'll slide in. There's a little tab on the far side. Only thing I have left to do is to put the ballast in. I found a spot right up against the headlight, nice and tucked out of the way. I'm going to get some really heavy-duty double-sided sticky tape and just stick it right up in that wheel well so it'll be nice and protected. Then I'll cover it up. But as you can see, lights are working great. Super blinding. And compared to this, I don't know if you can tell for sure, but you can see I don't have any error codes from the light. I had one earlier when it was not plugged in right, but no error codes, so the MTEC is living up to its name. So you can see the finished product here. They look great. Notice the difference between the fog lights, which are halogen, and the other ones, which are HID. All right, successful completion of a job.